All right, lads, lasses, and good day, mates. Welcome to another episode of the Tune Under podcast, the Southern Hemisphere's favourite Newcastle United podcast. We're here today to talk about the Everton game at St James's Park, which was earlier today for us in Australia, but probably yesterday for everybody else in the world. So it's been a long day, basically. As you can see, we're all sitting here with big smiles on our faces because Newcastle managed to emerge from this game 3-1 winners. With a really brilliant display, I think you'd have to say. So here to talk about this game with me is our Jack in Old Town Brisbane. How are you going, Jackie?
I'm champion. As you said, it's been a long day, but it's been a good one.
I am absolutely knackered. If I fall asleep halfway through here, just give us a nudge or something. Dimi, down in the deep south of Victoria, not in a kind of racist way. How are you going?
I'm good. Buzzing after 2 wins in a row. Top of the world. Who would have thought we'd win two games in a row? How lucky are we?
Mate, 3 in total, isn't it?
3 league wins.
How good. Two in a row as well. Jeez. Stop the presses.
Man. Unbelievable. All right. Well, we're feeling good about this. Hopefully you all are at home. Let's get into the details of this game right after this short break. All right, let's get into this desperately needed 3-point victory against Everton at home. And I'll start with the teams as always. So Newcastle's 11 started with Dubravka in goal. Trippier, who was subbed for Manquillo on 91st minute. Shaw, Lascelles, Target, doing it with his debut. Fraser, subbed for Murphy on 83. Shelvey, Willock, subbed for, Guimaraes on 91. Joe Linton. Bruno. Joe Linton, St. Maximin, and Chris Wood. And for Everton, it was a slightly different team to what we thought, actually, if you think about the preview, Jack. It was Pickford in goal, as always. Mina, who was subbed for Branthwaite on 35. Keane, Holgate, Coleman, Allen, Gomez subbed for Van der Beek on 60. Richarlison, Gray, who was subbed for Ali on 25. Gordon and Townsend. So, Jack, I'll come to the Newcastle one first. Any thoughts on that Newcastle lineup going into this game? I think probably we were all, well, I know I was hoping to see Bruno, especially right in the centre of the pitch for his debut. And also Burn as well at the back there. So do you reckon those were 2 surprise omissions, or was it kind of obvious from the lead up that they weren't going to start?
I think in hindsight, it was probably not too much of a surprise that they didn't start. I think the fans were really keen for them to start, especially Bruno, because he's exciting and he's Brazilian and he's really good. But I was listening to Eddie Howe before the match. He did a little interview and he was just saying that Bruno's only had 1 training session. And he's obviously been playing in South America as well for Brazil. So there was obviously a lot of excitement around him. But maybe considering the fact we beat Leeds as well, it's probably not such a big shock in hindsight that he didn't start. And also Dan Burn, I think Eddie Howe said he had a little toe problem as well before in his press conference. So I think in a way it's obviously he's made the right calls because we've won the game. But it was probably quite a temptation for him to put Bruno in, but yeah, he didn't, and you can't really knock him for that. Came on and had his nice little cameo. But yeah, I was not really too surprised in the end with the starting 11.
So, Dimi, any thoughts on that first 11 from Newcastle?
I was a little disappointed, to be honest, seeing Cher and Lascelles at the back. I really thought we'd seen the last of that partnership, even though Cher in particular was fantastic at Leeds. I just thought I did expect Calvert-Lewin to start, to be honest, for Everton and Richarlison. I thought they'd give our 2 centre-backs just absolute nightmare. So I thought Big Dan Burn, he's got an infected toenail, but surely he'll be able to play with that. So I was a little bit surprised about Burn. Bruno less so, being he's been away international duty. He's only trained once or twice. That was probably more hopeful that he would start than expected. So besides that, it was probably as business as usual for everybody else. But yeah, I was disappointed that Big Dan Burn wasn't in the lineup.
There was a little bit of thought as well at one point that we might have gone for a 3, I think, at the back. We were thinking that might happen, but Eddie seems pretty set on this 4-3-3 now. So, and I think that's good because the players all know what the job is, and it's a pretty settled system now. So I was quite pleased in a way to see that. I think the players know what they're doing in it.
Yeah, and it's getting results, which is the most important thing, of course. I mean, Dimi, you're just desperate to get Jamal Lascelles out of the team, aren't you?
Yeah, really. I mean, if you had a look at it, even today, I mean, he was, let's say he was pretty good today for his standards, but there was moments today where I thought he's going to cost us a goal. Even after we scored, I think the 2-1, he gave away the free kick right on the edge of the box just from complete stupidity, letting the ball bounce and don't know what he was doing, trying to tackle Richarlison. So he's always got that in him, and I just can't trust him. And especially in the position we're in, we can't have comical errors like he's been giving up. And our former friend Kieran, who's now out of the 25, we can't have comical errors like that at the back. So hopefully Big Dan Burn can put some Dettol on his toenail and he'll be good to go on the weekend.
Yeah, let's see. Let's move on to the Everton team then. And Jack, I was thinking about this preview episode that you did a few days ago about this, and you were shitting your pants at the thought of playing the Everton team with all these big names and stuff. You remember? And our guest Josh picked I mean, he said you could sort of chuck some names up in the air and see where they land to pick the team, and I think that's basically what happened here. It was completely different to what he had in mind. What did you think when you saw that lineup? Were you a little bit relieved, perhaps, or were you still thinking, they've still got too much for us?
I was relieved that Calvert-Lewin wasn't playing because he's really good striker. Even though he's not been fit lately, and he hasn't actually scored a goal from an open play since the first game of the season, apparently as well. So I think when I saw the names in the preview, I did just get a little bit scared because it was like Ali and Van de Beek and everyone, and it just looked on paper really good. But then when you actually looked at this team, sort of a couple of the defenders have not been in great form. Townsend was at wing back, Coleman's getting on a bit, and I thought that our 3 in midfield could have a good time against the 2 in midfield that Everton had, which was Gomez and Allen, and that was really how it played out. So Everton were just in terrible form. Like they remind me of how we play sometimes when nothing's going for us. The body language was bad, and it was just a really poor performance from them. So yeah, I felt a bit better when I saw the team, and after we made a decent start as well, and I think the crowd were up for it. And yeah, I don't think they could really match up to us at all, especially in the second half.
Yeah, we'll come on to that. I mean, the crowd was sensational. Dimi, you were actually quite confident about this game, weren't you? You were fairly happy about we're going to do something today. When you saw that team lineup, did it, instill more confidence, or did you think, I don't know, maybe not?
No, absolutely. The one player I probably feared from Everton was Calvert-Lewin, even though he hasn't been in form and he's not fit. He's the sort of attacker who would dominate Shah and the Cells. So he'd be the one that I'd really worry about. But if you look at the rest of the team, they're decent on paper, but as a team, they just haven't gelled all season. And their defense is very, very suspect, as obviously ours is. But even in the middle of the park, Gomez and Allen are quite slow. So I thought Joe Linton and Willock in the midfield really, really got on top. Especially as the game went on. And I really thought that would be a position where we'd be able to profit it from. So definitely the confidence was there, especially when you got Pickford in goals. He's always liable to give up 1 or 2 against us. So that's always nice.
Oh yeah, you gotta love Pickford, man. Did you see the clips of the T-Rex from the war flags? And the giant T-Rex, people waving at him. Oh man, what goes through his head when he sees something like that in the worst?
He'd hate it.
The worst stadium for him as a Mackem, he must absolutely despise coming up here. He's not had a good game here for ages, it seems. Do we know why?
There was that moment where he totally sliced it as well in the second half. Where I think Willett was pressing him and he completely sliced it, and then Branthwaite, the defender, did as well. It was just funny. He must hate playing at St James's Park.
Oh, I mean, the crowd was on his back, booing him every single time he got anywhere near the ball. Do we know why Calvert-Lewin didn't start? Was there anything particularly about that? Was it just Lampard?
He wasn't fit. So he on the weekend he didn't make the cup tie for Everton, and Lampard said he was training on his own all week, trying to get up for this game. So he's definitely had some sort of, I think, muscle injury, so he wasn't 100% fit. So lucky for us, I guess.
Oh, yeah, too right. He's dangerous when he's on form. All right. Thanks, lads. So let's get into the game itself. I'm going to go through the goals as we usually do, and we'll just have a little chat about them. Just a bit of pretext. So in the first 5 minutes of this game, I thought we actually started really bright this game. We took the ball to them. We weren't going to sit back and just wait for them to control and dictate. And, first 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'm thinking, hey, this could be a classic. This, they've barely had a touch. But then, as all kind of experienced teams do, when they realize they're on the back foot a little bit, especially from home, is they try and slow the game down and try to play the game their way. And, if they can, frustrate the crowd as well, which is obviously super important in St. James's Park. And so after about the first 5, maybe 10 anyway, Everton started to really take control. The game had slowed down. Pickford was taking absolutely donkeys to take goal kicks, which is absolutely fine. Every team would do it. And slowly but surely, the tide of the game started to turn towards Everton. And I think we were really struggling. And by the time they scored, which was on the 36th minute, we were really up against it. So the first goal, it's an own goal from Lascelles, unfortunately. Dimi, you'll love it. To be fair to him, there wasn't a great deal he could have done about it. There was, it came from, in fact, I think it was a goal line clearance from target. And he kind of lifted it up, the ball, and Lascelles is retreating to try and help out a little bit, and it just bounces off his midriff, I think, and went straight into the net. But even before that, the whole goal was a bit calamitous, really, because even before that, the ball goes in. I think it was Keane who heads it back, and it sort of bounced off Richarlison, I think it was. It just kind of just rebounded off him like a pinball. Then it dropped to Holgate, who I'm not sure if he was trying to side foot pass or if he was trying to side foot shoot, because it wasn't a very good shot, if that's what it was meant to be. And then, as I say, it rebounds off Lascelles, goes in for 1-0. I'll just quickly move on to the next goal because basically it was like 2 minutes later, and then we can talk about both of these. So at this point, Everton's on top. We've just had about, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes worth of pressure that we weren't really seeming to get to grips with. I'm thinking, it's going to be one of these games here. They're 1-0 up. We don't really come back from 1-0s. In fact, I don't think we have until today. But I'll tell you what, mind, credit to the players because, also the fans as well. Don't forget, right from that, the restart, the fans were like really like cheering on the tune, and even the commentator was like, "Oh, that goal has lifted the crowd." And normally you'd say that about the team that just scored, like a home crowd is lifted because they've just scored. But we had just conceded, and then suddenly all our fans are on their feet screaming the team on. It was brilliant. And maybe this is a consequence of that. We just belted down the pitch. Willock has a bit of wind in his sails for once. He manages to win a corner. Kieran Trippier goes over to take the set piece. He was brilliant all day, Kieran Trippier. He delivers it quite deep, but Lascelles runs onto it, gives it a good old nut, in full force. Pickford's nowhere near it. Like he kind of reacts after it's bouncing back off the crossbar. Like I don't know what the hell Pickford was doing, but he was nowhere near it. It comes out and it bounces off Holgate, I think, the guy who just got an own goal off Lascelles, and it goes in for a goal for Newcastle. And so from 36 minutes to 38 minutes, went from 0-1 to 1-1. Dimi, you first. That was a breathless couple of minutes. The crowd's on the feet. They're all going absolutely mental. Your mate Lascelles instantly redeemed himself, even though the first one wasn't his fault, let's be honest. Thoughts on that goal?
Yeah, so at 1-0 down, you thought, shit, they've scored an RC goal. The crowd might get frustrated. This might not turn out well for us. But like you said, as soon as the kickoff happened, the crowd sort of lifted. We got the early corner, and then fair play to Lascelles. It was a cracking header. Great corner by Trippier. Hit it flat with good pace. But it was so important, I thought, to get that goal straight away because if we went into halftime 1-0 down, the crowd might have been a little bit frustrated. The players would have been low on confidence. Everton would have been high on confidence. It just would have been a recipe for a disastrous second half, in my opinion. So it was vital to get a goal back before halftime, and getting it back within 2 minutes even better. But Hugely important goal that by Lascelles. Really, it was his goal, but Holgate in the end got the final touch.
Yeah, and you can see what I like about Lascelles, but he was straight up there, put himself, on the forward line, trying to kind of get the team back into it. Jack, what do you think of that goal? What do you think?
So their goal came initially from a stupid tackle by Shelby. There's been a bit of talk about this afterwards. He could potentially have been sent off for that tackle. At the time, it looked quite bad, sort of on the actual match. And then the replay did get the ball, but it was a bit of a scissor tackle. So I think that would have been harsh for a red card, but it wouldn't have been a big surprise maybe if he had been sent off. And John Joe's got form for that, so it's just something that he does. He loses his head. But so then obviously they scored their goal, which I don't think was Lascelles' fault really. And then I'm going to talk about Trippier more later because he was just out of this world. But he was in the goal, picking the ball up, shouting at his teammates to get on with it straight away. And that's what he brings to the team.
Yeah.
As well as his actual quality, his character is just exemplary. He's amazing. And then obviously he put the cross in for Lascelles. And fair play to Lascelles. He's had a lot of stick. He knows he's had a lot of stick. And to have the character to get up and do that, I think so soon after conceding was a really big bonus. And it was kind of the opposite of what happened when we played against Brentford in Eddie Howe's first game, because Lascelles scored a header in that game and then 1 minute later they'd equalised. So it was the polar opposite of that. And it just shows kind of a little bit the progress we've made in terms of our character as a team. And it was just so important at that time because things could have got really, really bad if we hadn't have scored at that particular time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we had went in 1-0, by rights, Everton, given that they were not in a great position either, they could have just shut up shop for the second half, and we are hopeless at breaking down teams. I don't know, Dimi, I think Lascelles might make a fan out of you yet, like at this rate. Although, I don't know, was that kind of like an equilibrium where he sort of kind of ballsed up, not really, but then kind of...
Is it a net zero? Correct, net zero.
Net zero. There you are.
He hasn't got a positive or a negative, net zero.
Good man. All right. Just a few facts on that as well. That was actually the first Premier League game since 2019 since both sides scored an own goal. And Lascelles, the first player in Newcastle's Premier League history, well, Premier League years, it's only been going for like 5 minutes, to score 2 own goals in a season, because the first one was against Brentford. So, yeah, a couple of little facts for you there, which I stole off the internet.
So you mean you didn't have them facts in your head?
I've got note in my head, mate. Is it not obvious? Just doc. Nothing up there, mate. Nothing at all. Just stuff about babies and toddlers and all that shit. That's just full of that stuff. Anyway, so we managed to get through to half time after that. Everton actually lost a couple of players as well in the first half. So they lost Mina with a quad injury just before the first goal, and then Gray with a hip injury. And they were like within 10 minutes of each other. And I was kind of wondering, like, would this have affected Everton to our advantage, basically? And Lampard, I listened to his post-match, and he said that it was really just a case of them having to then be careful with the final sub. That made the difference about how they could then manage the second half of the game. So, in fact, they did have a huge bearing on the game, you know. Some stats, very quickly, there's only a few here. 11-4 attempts in Newcastle's favour, 3-1 on target. We only had 43% to their 57%. So most of the action, not much of the possession. Didn't feel like we didn't have a lot of possession, although there was that time when Everton was on top for a long time. So yeah, I guess so. All right, well, on to the second half then. Yeah, I remember thinking about this at Leeds as well. Second half is when I thought, you know what, we're actually starting to get on top of this game now. And it felt like right from the off in the second half of this game, I think Everton's heads had just dropped. When I think back about it, Everton's heads had just dropped. I've listened to a few Everton reactions. I've had a great day listening to Everton reactions. It's been brilliant. You know, they're all just crying down the cameras. But I mean, to be honest with you, the ones I saw had been really kind of fair with what they were seeing. Yeah, they were saying the same thing. Like, they just haven't got the guile, haven't got the courage. Heads dropped, and they just allowed us to dominate the second half, basically, which is fine by me. Gets to 56 minutes, and Willock, who I think actually had been kind of shit the first half, he was already much better second half. He'd sort of got his wind up him. I don't know if he's got in his contract that he can't start playing until, you know, second half of the season or something, but I mean, he was much more effective in the second half. I don't know if his position had changed. I haven't seen anything about that. But anyway, he was starting to put his foot in, starting to make a difference. He robbed Ali down. It was our right. Ali, he was just kind of dawdling around, and Willock came along and picked his pocket. To give a short pass to Wood, who came deep to receive it, and then he spreads it to Joe, who feeds Maxi down the wing on the overlap, and he manages to skin the defenders. And that was largely thanks to Joe making a little move forward first before he fed Maxi. He pushed them onto their back foot. And then when he fed him Maxi was actually in full flight, so he just went right around them. It was brilliant. Maxi did a chip into the box, kind of went actually all over everybody. It kind of went through all the crowd of people right over the top. And the smallest man on the pitch was waiting at the back of that, just waiting to kick it in. Old Fraser there, who doesn't get many goals, obviously. And he managed to, he actually said after the game, he said he didn't get a really good contact on it at all. He kind of sort of scuffed it a little bit, you know. But he still managed to get it in between Pickford and Townsend, who I think almost kicked Pickford's head off at one point, like when he was trying to stop the ball from going in. Dimi, first thoughts on that goal?
Yeah, huge props to Willock, like you said. I mean, Dele Alli, absolute clowning on the ball, dawdling, but props to win it. And then, like you said, for Joe to draw the defenders in to release Maxi out around Coleman was important. And Maxi was doing that all day, to be honest. He was putting terrific balls, and there was just no one on the end of it. I mean, the first half, Joe Linton should have scored from a beautiful cutback from Maxi. So you put it in the area, and like what happened with Fraser, even if you don't get perfect contact, you get it on target, it's going to be a goal. So sensational work by Maxi, but really that started with Willock, and Willock's work rate, like you said, Lee, just increased by 50, 60% in the second half.
Oh, yeah, it was, you know, like last season when he was on loan, he just suddenly became that player that we hoped he was going to be from the start, you know. Jack, how did you see that goal?
Yeah, so the whole team was full of running all game. They had good stamina. There was a lot of energy. And this is a really noticeable difference in the team since Steve Bruce was there. I think we're finally seeing the effects of Eddie Howe's training on the training pitch, because the players just are obviously a lot fitter than before. And Willock, yeah, he nicked the ball. Ali just reminded me of the kind of goal we would concede usually, because it was just dawdling on the ball. Like previously, we wouldn't have gone in for that ball and won it like that. So it was just such a good tackle and a good play forward. And then Saint Maximin was just, yeah. Lampard said after the game he was just unplayable. Defenders mustn't know what to do, because he just runs at them. His feet are so quick. And all they can do really is kick him, you know, and that's what they did do. So he was complaining a lot. He was going down a lot. He's probably got sore shins this morning. But it does get us some free kicks in good positions as well. So he kind of takes one for the team. He must be impossible to defend against sometimes. And then he cut it back, and Fraser with the bobbled finish. But we need midfielders to start scoring goals. So it doesn't matter how they go in, does it, at the moment?
No. I mean, they have to go in. That's the main thing. I was listening to Eddie Howe after the game, and he said that he'd told Fraser to stop trying to score a goal. So in the training up to this, he was like, "Here, man, Fraser, stop trying to score a goal, you daffy. Just concentrate on your game, and then you'll get your goals." And then, sure enough, the very next game, he gets a goal. Crazy, isn't it? All right, so that's Newcastle 2-1 up on 56 minutes. We pretty much dominated the rest of the game, to be honest with you, but it took until the 80th minute to really seal the game. Fraser, again, he's running across the goal, kind of a little bit out from the box, but he was running across the field, and he's hacked down. A bit of remonstration with the ref, because I guess the Everton guy didn't think it was a foul, but anyway, Fraser went sprawling, sorry. And we have Shelby, Trippier, and even Target standing over the free kick. I didn't know Target took free kicks, but anyway, he's standing there. Maybe it's just mind games. And the ball's kind of right of centre, just outside the box a little bit. Now Everton, and I was thinking about this is probably Pickford's fault. I was going to try not to blame him for this, but he sets up the wall, and he tells him how many men he wants in the wall. And when the free kick's taken, there's basically, I think it's something like 3 or 4, and then this massive gap where somebody's just buggered off. And then this other player, and there's just this huge, inviting kind of lovely sort of slot. They're just saying like, "Oh, Eden, Trippier, if you all that, kick it through that hole then, please." And so Trippier's like, yeah, no bother. So he runs up, gives it a good old howk, goes right through the gap, straight in the corner. Pickford, it's his near post. It's a bit like the Melia goal in some ways. They were beaten again by a ball to the near post, except Melia went in the wrong way first and then came back. I wonder if Pickford was expecting his wall to do a better job, and then he's realised there was a gap there too late and he couldn't cover or something like that. Anyway, the ball goes in. The noise was unbelievable. I mean, obviously we're watching on telly, but the noise was just absolutely mental. Stavely and the Gadushi, they're all diving around like lunatics in the stand. And it's lovely to see owners with that kind of investment, kind of really getting into the game itself. Howe was punching the air, running down the pitch. He's like, fuck it, come on. As I said, the stands are going mental. I'm jumping up and down. My baby's wondering what the hell's going on. I've woken up the wife. I don't care, to be honest with you. It was just a fucking brilliant moment when we actually, for once, got that goal cushion. It was 2 goals, but you're never safe when there's only 1 goal in it. And so we had that 2-goal cushion, absolutely bouncing around the place. Jack, you were actually on baby duties, I believe, at the time. So you didn't get to see this one live, but I don't know if you nearly crashed your car or something. But how did you see that goal when you look back at it?
So that goal was obviously a where were you kind of moment. So I was changing my daughter's nappy just before I did the daycare run. I was on daycare duty this morning. So I was literally, I saw us get the free kick downstairs. I come upstairs and change a nappy and then get out the door and go to daycare. But yeah, so that was that's what happens when you're watching football at 6:37 in the morning. But what you said actually before about the lead up to that goal, there was the game management from Newcastle, which we haven't been doing all season. It was just brilliant between the second and third goals. And I'm going to talk about him again, but Kieran Trippier, I watched back the second half earlier, and between 60 and 70 minutes, honestly, he was unbelievable. There was that moment where he took the ball out, he just plucked the ball out of the air, like there was a big pass that had gone over to the other side of the pitch. And there was other moments where he was just controlling the ball. He controlled the tempo of the game in that vital period. And that is what he brings to the team. The free kick was just, it was a great free kick. He's a set piece specialist. So I could talk about Kieran Trippier for 5 hours if I could, but it was a very, very special moment. I think it's if we stay up and if the rest of this season goes the way we hope it's going to be, I think that could really be one of the iconic kind of moments of the season. It was absolutely brilliant and a nice one to watch back later on once I'd got back from daycare.
Oh, I mean, I've watched it about 1,000 times now. I've done no else today. It's been absolutely brilliant, man. That was actually his first goal, Trippier, in the Premier League anyway, since 2018. I can't remember when he went off to Spain, but obviously he was in Spain for a certain amount of time. But anyway, it's been a good few years, hasn't it? Dimi, did you actually see that live? Were you doing something else? You did?
No, I hadn't left for work. Yeah, I hadn't left for work yet. So I was, I did wake up the wife though, so that wasn't great. But yeah, that's collateral damage as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we don't score. Getting into. Hey, bloody oath, you did. Bloody oath. But we don't score 3 goals very often, and we don't go 2 goals ahead with 10 minutes to go very often. So I thought I had to savour that moment. And when he walked up for the free kick, I thought the wall was a little bit strangely placed. I'm not sure if he thought Target was going to take it or Shelby was going to hit it to the opposite side, but his positioning was a bit funny. And to get beaten on his near post, not ideal for a keeper, especially from that far out. It wasn't like it was top corner. It was his bottom left-hand corner. So poor keeping from Pickford, but Trippier, yeah, he's just all class. I mean, he absolutely bosses the game for us. From as much as you can do from a right back, he just screams captain for me. He's the way he talks to the players, the way he conducts himself on the pitch. He's a class above. He's that far ahead of everybody else in our team in terms of professionalism, in terms of leadership. It's not funny, and we're so lucky to have him. And I think yeah, he's gonna do great things for us. And I really hope that we give him the captain's armband actually sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I think that's got to be inevitable at this rate. Although obviously you'll end up putting out your mate Lascelles' nose if you kind of take the band off him. But maybe at the same time that's gives him a kick up the arse, and maybe that's what he needs. I think Trippier is probably going to end up being one of the signings of the last well, I was going to say last decade, but fucking hell, there's not much in the way of competition with that useless sudden charge, is there? But for the last, for I don't know how long, but he's going to be one of the best signings we've made in a very, very long time if he stays fit and continues like this. I know he's old, so oldish, so we're not going to get that much out of him going forward. But oh man, he was absolutely immense. I think we've all got man crushes on Kieran Trippier now. Well, Jack has. Yep. So we actually managed to see. So that's 3-1. We actually on 80 minutes. We actually managed to see out the rest of the game pretty easily. I mean, Murphy hits the post, as seems to be his want these days. I don't know if people keep moving the goal a little bit to one side or the other, and he just doesn't realize and can't adjust. That was unfortunate. And of course, the rebound didn't come out to Maxi, who was run onto it. So that was a bit of a shame. Even Wood had the ball in the back of the net at one point. I say even, like as if that's amazing, but he had the ball in the back of the net. He was like a million miles offside, unfortunately. But we just kept on attacking. We kept on going for it. See the game out, and it ends 3-1. Big almighty cheer. I'm jumping around again, absolutely loving it. Newcastle's first Premier League back-to-back win this season, which is absolutely huge at this stage of the game, especially with our position. It's the first time of the season we came from behind and won, so that's another brilliant thing to be starting to do. Another great habit to start to be forming at this stage of the season. And thanks to some results elsewhere, we managed to move out of the bottom three to sit in nosebleed territory at fourth bottom. And now we're just because of that win, we're actually now 1 point behind Everton. So Everton are right in the filth with us now. So that was the goals. That was the majority of the action. A couple of other things I just wanted to highlight as well, and you guys can come in with your own as well if you want. So we've already touched on that Shelvey challenge. That was the first thing I was going to mention. The other thing I wanted to mention was that Everton were getting really dirty in this game when it was going against them. And we've seen it before from Newcastle as well. When it's going against them, now it's working. Man United do it as well sometimes. They get really filthy. They start hacking away at you. I don't know if it's to try and win the game by hacking people off. I don't know if they're thinking the game's already gone. We better try and hack some good players so that we have a chance of staying above them in the table. I don't know what it was, but they were hacking left, right, and centre. I mean, Alan St. Maxim must have like a back pocket full of grass by the end of these games because he's on his arse all the time. Sometimes he plays it, and he stays down for ages, and you're thinking, "Oh, yeah, man, get on your feet, you daft sod." You're miles away back over there, and we're basically playing with 10 men at this rate. Get your arse up. But other times he's just getting absolutely swamped and dumped on his arse, and everything. All of them were hacking away. I just wonder, and it might be just because they're having a shit season. I don't know, but are they now the dirty Leeds of the league? Are they dirty Leeds have become decent Leeds, and Everton have become dirty Everton? Was it just me, or were they just being filthy? The second half, especially.
I think they were just frustrated. I mean, they're supposedly the better team on paper. They supposedly should be a top half of the table team. And I think a lot of those players in that squad are not liking the fact that they're down the bottom. And they were getting super frustrated by us. Our pressing was good. We weren't dirty. They were just, I think it's just complete frustration. I don't think they're an out-and-out dirty team. But when you're playing well below your level and you're not performing where you think you should be, frustration comes out. And these players, I don't think they're going to be up for a relegation battle. So they're in real strife, I reckon.
Yeah, they've been really sucked into this now, haven't they, Jack?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of been of the opinion that they've got too many good players to get relegated, but I'm not sure Lampard's the manager for a relegation scrap. I'm not sure some of the players are going to be up for it. The club's an absolute, like we were saying on the preview with Josh, it's a basket case club, They've just completely messed up the chance they had to spend some money properly and kind of try and push into the big four. And the look, as I've said a few times, they just remind me of us when we have been relegated before. It's probably a good thing that we've got to play them again at some point. Hopefully we can play them again soon. I think their next game is against Leeds. That's a huge game for them. But I think that win is going to give us confidence, and it's going to give them the same amount of concern that they lost that game to us, and they are in real trouble, I think, now.
Yeah, I said it earlier on that I was listening to some of those fan reactions, and a lot of them were saying like, they are deep in the shit now, and that they were kind of trying to make the point like, just because we got all these names, you need to put that to one side and just look at the facts and admit that they are actually in a world of shit. And yeah, I remember when we went down, was it Owen and Viduka and stuff that were in the team when we went down, and
then Wijnaldum and Sissoko as well,
So the names themselves don't really guarantee or anything. It's how the team gels together, of course. So it'd be interesting to see how Everton do. I think probably they'll still be safe, but you never know. So you just touched on that a little bit there, Jack. I know it's early days, but some of the new players that we saw today on both sides. So Bruno, I'm not going to say his name. Bruno came on. I think it was about 2 minutes to go, end of the game. He had like 2 or 3 touches or something, and one of them was to feed St. Maxi, a lovely ball down the wing. I thought actually it was a bit too tight, but Maxi got on the end of it, so that was a lovely first touch. And then that sweet Brazilian back heel near the corner, which released, was it Maxi again who we released?
It was Joe that time.
Joe.
I think it was Joe, yeah.
Not a bad cameo for him, was it? Not a bad 2 minutes.
Yeah, and he's gonna be an exciting player. He's a quality player, and I think it was probably a good thing to let him sample that atmosphere from the bench, and then we didn't need him in the game really, and it was a good thing to let him come on towards the end. It was a little bit of a shame that Trippier went off injured at the same time he came on, but I know that the fans had been chanting for him for the whole game. I've got a couple of friends who were there that were saying he was warming up, and he's already got his own flag as well, so I think he's going to be a big important player for us, and it's going to be interesting to see when he starts a game, and maybe if one of the 3 midfielders that started the game are injured or fatigued for Villa, he might get a start.
And Dimi, Matt Target, he was. I almost forgot he was a new player at times. He just sort of slotted right in there, didn't he? What did you make of him?
Really good, really solid. Defensively, fantastic. Going forward, gave us an option with that width in the left foot. Had a couple of decent crosses from memory. Solid player. I mean, if he's going to give us that performance every week, we can't complain. That's what we've been looking for from our fullbacks. I mean, Manquillo did decent off the bench against Leeds, but he's not a left footer, so you can't rely on him as a left back. So Target, I think, is going to be very important, and it gives us that proper width with him and Trippier as 2 fullbacks who overlap. Gives us real options going forward. Yeah,
he looked really good. And so as for Everton, again, you were scared of these guys, Jack, in the preview that we had. Donny van der Beek and Dele Alli. I mean, Ali was on the pitch for quite a while. He was on from the 25th minute, wasn't he? So I actually thought he was, and this is his debut, albeit not at Everton, he's at Newcastle, but I thought he was bang average. Didn't see a great deal of anything from Dele Alli. He looked disinterested when he got robbed, for the goal. Van Beek, a little bit better, a little bit tidier in the midfield. To me, he just didn't seem interested. It didn't look like he wanted to be there. I don't know whether that's just against us or at all. I know a lot of the fans have been goading him now because he went to Everton to avoid a relegation scrap, and now he's right in the muck, isn't he? He must be loving that decision. But how are you feeling now that we missed out on those 2 signings, Jack?
Well, I think you can see from that performance why Eddie Howe wasn't keen on Dele Alli. I think he was raised in discussions. It's quite sad what's happened to him in a way, because he was brilliant when he first came onto the scene. He's still only 25, He was a good player for England as well. So I read an article on The Athletic that was trying to explain a bit about what's happened, but it doesn't seem very clear. I don't know whether he was doing well under Pochettino at Spurs, and then Pochettino left, but it seems to be a little bit more to it than that. I think it'll be good for England, obviously, and good for Everton if you can pick up. But I'm pleased he played as badly as he did yesterday, because he was not at the races at all, and I'm pleased we didn't get him. And with Van der Beek, I don't know, there's talk that he didn't want to come to us, but I don't know how serious an offer we actually made for him was. It doesn't seem like it was one where it got close. So I'm happy with the business we did, and Everton are welcome to those players, especially after that performance.
Yeah, good luck with that one. All right, the final thing I want to touch on is just like an incredible bit of defending from Big Joe. It was sensational. He put his body on the line, You know, he thought there's no way this shot is getting anywhere near this goal. I'm going to put my body on the line. I'm going to stop it with my face. And he did a fucking brilliant job. It's only a shame that it was his shot as well. Someone managed to kick the ball into his head. I mean, that was a lovely bit of work, wasn't it? Defensive work. Dimi, you must have been fornicating over that.
I reckon you could try that 1,000 times and couldn't do it once. I mean, the time he had, it wasn't if Maxi's ball was smashed at him. It was sort of rolling slowly. So the fact he had time to size up his shot and he still managed to kick it into his own head, I mean, fair play to him. That's no one else in the world can do that. That's world class. That's world class defending, as you said.
Oh yeah, chef's kiss.
Jigsaw Joe, isn't it? He just falls to pieces in the box. He's so good. He's so good in midfield. I think he is actually a midfielder now, but for a player to be good, like quite technically good in midfield, and he just cannot do it when it gets to the box. He's got no instinct. He just falls to bits. So let's just keep him in the midfield from now on, because he's actually is good there.
Yeah, I mean, a few of the Everton fans were saying that he was an absolute, rock solid colossus in the middle of the pitch, from Big Joe. They was dictating the play, but yeah, just stay away from the goal, please, Joe. Fucking hell. All right, so that was the end of the game. Stats at the end: 20 shots to 11 for Newcastle, 9 on target to Everton's 3, and that was all with 40% of possession, with Everton's 60. So pretty good return when you think about it. I'm going to bring up the table now. So here's the table, bottom half of the table anyway. Look at that, man. Newcastle, 4th bottom, 18 points, 2 clear of Norwich on the same games, 3 clear of Watford on the same games. Burnley have 2 in hand, and they drew with Man United, so they're on 14 now. Everton right down in the shit with us on 19 with god-awful form. If you just look at that form column, they are in deep trouble. And Leeds, 22, Brentford, 23, and so on. It looks all right, doesn't it? I mean, I still worry about those 2 games in hand from Burnley, only because you still, if they were to win those 2 games, I don't know who they're against really, but if they won them 2, we're back in the bottom 3 again. So I still do worry a little bit about that, but on the whole, and I'll show the form table next. On the whole, we've had a bit of a turnaround of fortunes. It's starting to look all right, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah, and I think particularly those 2 draws against Man United and Watford really felt like defeats at the time, because we should have beaten Man United performance-wise, and we should have beaten Watford because we were winning within the last few minutes. But those two results have extended this unbeaten run now. So now we've got 8 points from the last 4 games because of these back-to-back wins. So those draws all of a sudden contribute to this run. And yeah, I just think it's looking a lot better. I hoped that this team would have this in them to be able to put back-to-back wins together. I didn't expect that they would be able to at this stage of the season. So I'm really proud of what they've done over the last 2 games, and it's been the best few weeks of the season by an absolute mile for us.
It has. I wonder if it coincides with that trip to Saudi. It's I did criticize it at the time, but looking back, it seems to have been all right since then. Maybe it was all right just before as well. I can't remember exactly when I went out there, but yeah, that form's turned around. And also, Dimi, the goal difference is starting to come down a bit as well. Do you reckon that might come into play?
Very important, very important. I mean, I think we're well clear of Norwich. I think 12 goals they're not going to make up, but definitely Watford, only 2 goals away from them. If we can catch that goal difference, that would be handy, because if we hadn't end up being on level points, we'd be ahead if we got better goal difference. So I think it's onwards and upwards for us. We're starting to hit a bit of form, which is good, and we're starting to hit the form at the right time. So I think even with Burnley's 2 games in hand, they've won 1 out of 20. So if they're going to win 2 in a row, good luck to them. But I think we should be aiming for Leeds, Brentford now, and Everton above us.
Yeah, I think that's the new mini league for us, I reckon.
So I just want to say quickly as well, in terms of the performance, because there was a bit of talk beforehand about how we would just take a win, and the win was the most important thing. But for me, in a home game where we've struggled to break teams down, I think the performance was really, really encouraging, and we really needed that. We got the goals, we scored more than 1 goal, and this is the squad now that we've got until the end of the season. So for me, the performance was just as pleasing as the result, and it was easily the best performance of the season, and it's going to give us so much confidence.
Oh yeah, performance was brilliant, particularly second half. Here's the form table. So I just included this because I thought it was actually quite interesting. Look at that. Newcastle 7th on the up, unbeaten in 4, as you've said there, Jack. Look at Everton. They are deep in the shit right down there. Everton, Watford, Burnley, 3 teams very, very near the bottom, as are Newcastle, but we're well up there on the form table. So I think that just illustrates that there's been a real turnaround in this club, and long may it continue. All right. There's a few big games on tomorrow, actually. Leeds, Brentford, and Norwich are all in action, and it would be nice if they all got results that were helpful to us. Do us a favour for once, God's sake. I mean, let's not forget, all we have to do here is finish 4th bottom. But still, it'd be nice if people chipped in, other teams chipped in and helped us to stay above the water there. So some interesting games to watch tomorrow. Let's do a man of the match. So I'll go first. I know who you're going to say, Jack, but I'm going to go first because it's the same. I'm going to go for Trippier. Hands down, massive performance in his on-field stuff, his off-field stuff, his dictating of the game, his control of his teammates. I mean, I actually already thought he was man of the match before he scored the goal, so that was just a lovely cherry on top of the cake, you know. And as Dimi says, future captain. I also want to give a bit of a shout out to St. Maximin. Didn't really have much joy the first half. Second half, he was at them every second. They didn't know what the hell to do. He was fantastic. Target debut, brilliant. And Willock second half, more for that, please. Thank you very much. And Fraser playing the best football for us since he came to the club. I love Fraser. I think he's absolutely brilliant. But for me, Trippier. And let's go to you first, Dimi. Man the match.
Yes, hands down Trippier. I mean, as I said before, he's such a class above everybody else, and not only his actual football skill on the ball and his touch and his crossing and his goal, everything else that he does on the pitch is class. And I'm not sure, to be honest, we would have won these last 2 games without him. So he's definitely made a huge impact on the club already, and long may it continue. Hopefully, as I said, hopefully with the captain's armband very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, are you going to surprise us with someone else?
No, Trippier, it says a lot about his character in the first place that he swaps La Liga champions for a relegation battle. I know he wanted to come back to the UK and back to the North specifically, but it really speaks a lot to his character. He's a world-class fullback. He actually is, and he's in his prime. And it's amazing to see a fullback influence a game so much and influence a team so much from that position. I think we're extremely lucky to have him. As I said, there was that period of time between the second and third goals where he really controlled the whole tempo of the game. I think, as Dimi said, he needs to be made the captain soon. I just hope that his injury's not too bad, and we need him because we need him for the rest of this season. And I don't think we'll get relegated if Trippier stays fit for the rest of the season. He's that important, influential. He's absolutely brilliant. He's the best fullback I've ever seen at Newcastle, and I don't think that's hyperbole to say that. I really think he is. I was trying to think about this earlier. I don't think anyone comes close to him who we've had in my lifetime, certainly. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. A couple of things on that, actually. After the game, he didn't mention anything about an injury, so I'm assuming that it's nothing serious. And so the other thing was that he was commenting rather on the fans, and you never really know if a player is being genuine when they get asked these same bloody questions every single week, like, so Kieran, did you enjoy the game? He's like, yeah, of course I fucking enjoyed the game. I won it. What do you want me to say? You know what I mean? But he was asked about he was asked about the crowd, and he said they were amazing, they were immense. I'm not just saying this. He actually said, I'm not just saying this. Like, I've played in all these different stadiums for England and so on and so forth. But that was one of the best atmospheres I've ever experienced in my career, which I thought was nice to hear. And the final thing is that Southgate was in the crowd. So we're actually in danger. We're actually in danger of having an England call-up here from Newcastle. I mean, what the fuck's going on, man? You know, imagine getting an England call-up. I mean, if Southgate's watched that and he doesn't call him up, he needs his bloody head examined, because that was just it was a quintessential classic performance from Trippier, in my opinion. All right, so a clean sweep for Trippier. Congratulations to him. So next game is against Villa on Sunday. Sunday in England. It's midnight Monday morning for us in Australia. Another wonderful start time. We're not going to be able to field Target because he's on loan, and obviously Villa's his parent club. Thank you very much, Loire. So we're going to have to see who Eddie fancies in that position. I actually thought maybe Manquillo would play left back. Dimi, you just said that maybe you won't. We do have Dan Burn. Maybe he can come in and sort that position out. He's apparently plays at left. And if Trippier doesn't make it, Man can play on the right, I suppose. So there's a few things to watch for there for that Villa game. Just before we finish this with a final wrap-up, any last thoughts from you first, Jack?
I think we've covered everything. I just think it was such a massive win. Get the monkey off our back of only scoring 1 goal, and just gives us big confidence for the season going forward. And I just don't think that we're going to be in relegation trouble if we keep playing like this. It was absolutely massive.
Yeah. And Dimi?
Just that I love seeing Howe's passion after the Trippier third goal. I think for him to celebrate like that just showed how much it means to him, and definitely obviously how much it means to all the fans. So long may that continue, and hopefully a lot more celebrations like that after the winner at St James's.
Absolutely. Actually, one of his interviews, the commentator says, Eddie, the last 10 minutes were quite comfortable. You must be really enjoying this 3-1. And he goes, nah. Nah. Hated it. I always hate it. I never like it. But I loved it when the final whistle went. So yeah, he was liking it, I think. And I also enjoyed Maxi giving that whole kind of like, la 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 la. He's kind of going, oh yeah, mint, love it. He was like doing it at each stand, I think. Like as if it was all about him or something. But
loves it.
No, I absolutely loved it, didn't he? And yeah, it was brilliant. All right, that'll do for us. Just a quick wrap up now. So the next episode will actually be in a few days for a Villa preview. We'll have a guest Villa fan on for that to give us their side of the game. It's working out quite well, isn't it? We've done that twice now. We've won both games.
100% record.
Yeah, let's just keep doing
them
that.
Coming.
Put the shits up them somehow. I don't know. Just before we go, then we actually had a competition running on the website and on Twitter and Facebook. It was to give away a Newcastle shirt with the name and number of one of our new signings in the January window. That competition is now closed. We have picked a winner, and we are attempting to get into touch with that person. So, if you enter this competition and you might want to check your DMs because we might have got in touch with you, please have a look and get in touch with us so that we can send across that lovely, lovely shirt of your choice. And thank you to everyone who entered that competition as well, of course. And keep an eye out because we might run some more. You never know. As always, thanks for watching or listening. We're available on Twitter at TuneUnderPod. Our website is tuneunder.com. And we're on YouTube, of course, and Facebook. Just search for Tune Under Podcast. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and especially keep giving us those comments and questions. We like doing those questions and answer sessions on these videos, so keep them coming in. And that's it. Thanks, everyone. Stay safe out there. I wear the mighty bags. Cheers, lads.
Cheers. See ya.
Cheers, mate.